Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react. Do you remember these 10 short-lived 90s cartoons? This should be interesting. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Martin Rush was greeted with a massive explosion that tore his head off his spine and sent it spiraling through the air like a fried biscuit.
Welcome to the review. Today we're taking a look at 10 short-lived cartoons from the mid-90s. Leave us a comment below if you remember watching any of these. Waynehead.
They need to bring this back. I love this cartoon. I wish they would have brought it back, though.
In Living Color alumni Damon Wayans would develop an animated series that took direct inspiration from his own childhood. Interestingly, the original concept was to be far different from what audiences would ultimately tune into to find on Kids WB October 19th, 1996. At one time, the title was slated to read The Wayneheads and be a much larger claymation project to air on Fox. And those had been rumors floating around since as far back as 1991. Fox, of course, was home to In Living Color and later the creator's very own sitcom Damon. Curiously, Damon would wind up a single season drop-off with only 13 episodes in total. Exactly the same outcome that Waynehead would see when all was said and done. With its initial concept shelved, Waynehead would go on to take the form of a traditionally animated Saturday morning cartoon. Heavily influenced by the 1992 adult animated comedy film, Bebe's Kids. Waynehead centered upon a 10-year-old boy from Lower Manhattan with one Forrest Gump leg brace and a comically massive shoe, featuring a strong voiceover team which included the legendary Frank Welker and the unmistakable John Witherspoon. Celebrity siblings Sean, Marlon, and Kim all join in providing vocal talent as well. Though unfortunately, Damon himself doesn't voice any characters in the show. By no means a terrible cartoon, it simply didn't find an audience by the time the 13th and final episode ran in May. Wayans stated in TV Guide that he was told by Warner Brothers that the cartoon wasn't black enough nor funny enough, to which a WB executive replied that the show was merely low rated. Many will have caught Waynehead.
Stop the cap! Stop the cap right now! Stop the cap! No more!
Later rerun on Cartoon Network sometime between 1998 and 2000. Street Fighter, the animated series.
Top secret mission as leader of an elite group of international crime fighters known only by their code name, Street Fighter.
Video game-based cartoons like Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, and Sonic the Hedgehog have been getting the Saturday morning cartoon treatment and doing reasonably well. Inevitably, Street Fighter would be itching to get in on the action. Episode 1, The Adventure Begins, would premiere October 21st, 1995, to high expectations from fans familiar with the game's rich backstory. In this imagining, Guile leads a team of Street Fighters against global terrorism and the villainous M. Bison. Besides Street Fighter II, the series also contains elements of characters from the live-action movie and the first two games in the Street Fighter Alpha series, as well as some added original characters and storylines unique to the show. But for avid fans of the immensely popular and highly scrutinized franchise, perhaps a bit too unique. Despite managing to last 2 seasons, Street Fighter the Animated Series has received an overwhelmingly poor reception. The cartoon immediately received negative reviews from fans and critics alike, with many claiming it to be the worst addition to ever fly the arcade fighting game's seal of approval. Although at first glance it appears as if the cartoon is just what new viewers would expect to find, it's all downhill once the show actually begins. Audiences found themselves hit with so many glaring errors that they just couldn't be overlooked. And with Capcom producers working alongside the production team as consultants on the show, there really is no good excuse for the mountain of lazy oversights that loomed over each episode. Seeing the beating it takes in comment sections to this day, it's a wonder how it got greenlit to run 13 more episodes the following year.
Damn.
G.I. Joe Extreme.
That's the way we like it. I don't
directly based on a line of military-themed action figures seen on shelves from 1995 to 1997. It was intended as a successor to the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero line, which was discontinued the previous year, supported by a syndicated animated series and a collection of comics sporting the new Extreme branding. As with the original cartoon, the new series was produced by Sunbow Entertainment. Set in the future, the terrorist group SCAR poses a global threat. Battling the mass villain Iron Claw would be a new team of Extreme G.I. Joes and Janes. Unlike the previous series, this cartoon featured a pre-credits teaser featuring a mixture of live actors and CGI, and they were nothing short of atrocious. However, the end of the episodes did feature new public service announcements, in the same vein as the "Knowing is half the battle" PSAs that were used in shows of the 80s and early 90s. Some will remember another short-lived idea that bridged the gap between A Real American Hero and G.I. Joe Extreme that suddenly vanished, that being the heavily promoted Sergeant Savage and his Screaming Eagles. When it came to the soft reboot of the highly popular series that preceded it, G.I. Joe Extreme didn't exactly thrill fans. Premiering in the fall of '95, the cartoon would see a total of 26 episodes developed, finishing out in spring of '97. A major lesson was learned in regards to the lack of enthusiasm for the fresh take on the series by avid fans. The franchise was under the impression that it was the brand itself that appealed to fans and not the characters they've grown fond of. With the realization that their new toy line was a massive failure, Hasbro quietly killed the show and comic, and let the G.I. Joe franchise rest for a few years.
Damn.
Invasion America. For 13 short episodes that began airing in June of 1998, viewers got the story of David Carter, a seemingly average teenager who suddenly discovers he's half human, half alien. After both of his parents mysteriously vanish, the unsuspecting boy is lured into an intergalactic war, a war that unfortunately for David only he can bring to an end, by convincing both warring factions to agree to coexist peacefully, under the guise of making friendly contact with the humans of planet Earth. The inhabitants of planet Tyrus arrive to begin claiming Earth's natural resources for themselves. Notable for being one of the very few animated adult dramas produced in the United States, the production had originally been intended for a younger crowd and was expected to find a home on Kids WB. Invasion America was created primarily to cash in on the late 90s paranormal craze that the X-Files created. Sadly for Spielberg and DreamWorks Productions, this primetime animated TV drama failed to launch. Any hopeful future plans for expanding upon their newly designed universe were ultimately cut short, and the project relabeled a miniseries. After the series' first weekday primetime broadcast, the show got a new opening credit sequence, and they re-edited the episodes for Saturday morning broadcast. This included the removal of the more adult scenes and dialogue, such as references to alcohol and the numerous depictions of near nudity and boundary-pushing violence. In fact, entire episodes were dropped during this second run.
Damn.
All sources point to the thin plot and bland writing when it comes to questioning why it didn't turn into an overnight success. Entertainment Weekly defended the series, pointing out that although the writing might be weak, it was still on par with current versions of Star Trek airing at the time. Many of these, including Invasion America, being projects linked to producer Harvey Bennett. Not only that, but it was arguably nicer to look at. It has the distinct style we're familiar with seeing when Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment would team up on 90s animations. During the opening minute of Invasion America, we can see how closely the background artwork and font choices resemble something like 1991's An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. Inspector Gadget's Field Trip.
Inspector Gadget's Field Trip. Inspector Gadget's Field Trip.
The famous cartoon sleuth would make a reappearance in the 90s, but this time without all the bells and whistles that make up an entertaining kids' cartoon. Starting in November
Yeah, they turned them into an educational show. I remember PBS used to run reruns of this.
of 96, he'd be visiting historical monuments and enlightening viewers on events in each U.S. locale. Zero attempt was made to modernize Gadget's old art style, which was in all reality poorly done in the first place. To make matters worse, the show itself looks ancient. Perhaps Inspector Gadget's Time Machine would have been a better title to slap on this strange project. Disney Educational Productions developed the series for a fairly young audience, aiming for the 6 to 12-year-old market, but still missing the mark. While this sort of educationally based series would no doubt thrill an old-fashioned school mom, kids likely found it to be an absolute drag to sit through. Even a 6-year-old could tell right away this was nothing more than another attempt to trick them into taking a nap. Penny, Brain, Chief Quimby.
What's fucked up is that's so fucking true. That's so fucking true what he just said right there. This was just an attempt to get you to go lay the fuck down. You done ate your cereal. You done had your Saturday morning cartoons. I made you clean up your room. I know you want to play that game, but go sit the fuck down somewhere. That's exactly what this is. Hey, you sit there and then and then all the other cartoons is off. So you know this the last cartoon that's finna be on for a minute. Yeah, you finna fall asleep watching this bullshit right here. Like, I don't want to watch this. I'm gonna play the game. You play the game later. Lay your ass down. So you sit there, you watching this bullshit. Next thing you know, you done fell asleep for 2 hours.
And Dr. Claw are entirely absent. It's washed out, bland, uninspired, and arguably educational at its best. Really a shame that they didn't take advantage of the popularity of the character and the excitement surrounding mid-90s animation at the time. Imagine if they created a fun and truly adventurous Inspector Gadget series around 96. It could have been huge. Video games, toy lines, the works. A little effort can go a long way when trying to mold educational content and kids' entertainment into one single concept. Take, for example, Fraggle Rock. The brief segments featuring Uncle Traveling Matt were lightly educational and beloved by audiences of all ages. Inspector Gadget's field trip turned out to be a blemish on the existing Inspector Gadget likeness. Thankfully, even after 22 nap-inducing episodes of field tripping around America, Inspector Gadget's character was able to remain a favorite and retain his earlier popularity. Or did he? Because if you take into account the terrible Matthew Broderick live-action flops and the panned 2015 animated reboot, Field Trip may have marked the death of Inspector Gadget and we just didn't notice. Cartoon Sushi.
Oh, praise be. Possibly I can sit next to this pussy and sneak my flatulence by the old woman since she will think it is her puss-puss.
That in your country you have... Woo! Mother of God, Puss.
A new 30-minute animated variety show featuring mature horror was rolled out on MTV in '97. Developed in the hopes of providing viewers with a successor to Liquid Television. Another MTV adult animated showcase featuring independent and edgy art styles, as well as an abundance of dark and eccentric comedy. While some laugh, others are adamantly repulsed by most of the material found on both Liquid Television and Cartoon Sushi. The difference in the Sushi lineup was that it incorporated already produced cartoons that have previously aired internationally, though the series did develop some original concepts to keep it fresh. For those who thoroughly enjoyed a morbid sense of humor in the unpredictable nature of these indie tunes, it was a delight tuning in, never knowing what to expect. Just a compilation of standalone animations that make for an easy and carefree watch. For many fans, the simplicity and short durations are part of the overall appeal. When including pilots and specials, Cartoon Sushi put out 15 episodes between October '97 and June of '98, most of which are still referenced by fans today. Both Liquid Television and Cartoon Sushi would go on to immensely influence future artists and studios in the 2000s.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Mummies Alive.
This looked like some bullshit. I wouldn't dare watch this. This looked like some bullshit.
It may come as a surprise to most of us who lived through it, but apparently we suffered from a lesser-known 90s pop culture trend of mummy mania. And after taking only a second to reflect upon the wave of memorable mummy-related material they hit us with, it's clear to see that we did. Mummies Alive would be the story of a 12-year-old boy living in modern-day San Francisco. He inherits 4 ancient mummy bodyguards who defend him from the evil sorcerer Scarab, who's constantly trying to steal the boy's soul so he himself can become immortal. Writers and producers from the Mummies Alive team also worked on the 3rd season of Gargoyles. People were quick to point out many similarities between the Disney Gargoyles series and Mummies Alive, including the plot of a group of warriors from the past that awaken in modern times to fight a rich villain, obsessed with immortality. Among other similarities with Gargoyles is their struggle to adapt to the modern world and the frequent use of mythological characters throughout the series. But shedding light on these comparisons doesn't necessarily mean that people didn't like what they saw. The series looks great and carries a unique feel. It was originally intended to be marketed to an older audience, but over the course of production, they began shifting their focus to a younger crowd. By most accounts, the mix of the two different concepts blended together to appeal to both and provide a wider viewership. So it's strange to hear that in the end, it's low ratings that take the blame for Mummies Alive's 2nd season being kept under wraps. We know that they set out to produce 40 episodes, but the series has 42 in total. Turns out that they did in fact plan to continue the series the following year. Unfortunately for fans of the supernatural and suspenseful mystery fiction series, episodes 38 through 40 were linked to form a finale of season 1, leaving them in anticipation of a 2nd season that would only amount to 2 additional episodes, to serve as the final nails in the show's coffin, tomb, because mummies. The Fantastic Voyages of Sinbad the Sailor. This action-adventure fantasy animation first popped up on the scene in February of '98, based on the story of Sinbad found within the fabled tales of the Arabian Nights. A teenage Sinbad would begin on an epic journey that would see him navigating lost cities, visiting a land filled with tiny warriors and avoiding absolute destruction by an ominous meteor, encountering magical items like a cloak of changing, and hunting down any number of mysterious crystals, rubies, and gems, often needed to resolve the episodes. Aside from the wide assortment of villainous characters you'll find like witches, evil imps, and even Cyclops, Sinbad is shadowed by his trusty pet, Kulak, a golden-toned exotic cat cub. Tagging along to aid Sinbad in surviving run-ins with everything from gigantic sharks to gigantic cobras is the loyal Hakim. It's certainly not the worst of cartoons, and there are likely to be some kids who seriously love tuning in to catch the fantastic adventures of Sinbad the Sailor. There's little to point out that would bring such a quick end to the series, other than its finding a home on Cartoon Network when it premiered, where there were simply too many edgier shows with far larger budgets for a show of Sinbad's caliber and family-friendly nature to compete with at the time.
Plus, didn't Cartoon Network have Johnny Quest? So this show would just be a knockoff Johnny Quest. No, absolutely not.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Nobody finna watch a knockoff Johnny Quest.
The series only stuck around for a few months, broadcasting its 26th episode at the end of May. Extreme Dinosaurs. The show was originally named Dangerous Dinosaurs and premiered as part of the syndicated Bobot Kids Network block. It's basically another all-too 90s extreme action cartoon, reminiscent of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Some of these shows were still all the rage at the time, and most fans figured the more the merrier. Based off the 1996 toy line from Mattel, Extreme Dinosaurs would be an attempt to take advantage of the popularity its mutated predecessors still held, combined with the excitement built by Jurassic Park over anything dinosaur-related not having faded out. The toy line itself was a spin-off of the Street Shark series, where the Extreme Dinosaur cast first appeared as Dino Vengers. A better received cartoon series, with the Radical Street Shark line of toys being utilized to promote the show. With Extreme Dinosaurs, the quality and entertainment value of this new series would be second thoughts. An interdimensional criminal named Zardoc stumbles across an unexpected find when he spots dinosaurs. Beaming them aboard his spaceship, he infuses a variety of prehistoric beasts with human intelligence, though not everything goes as planned, transforming them into super warriors with free-thinking minds of their own. After rebelling against their creator, Zardoc formulates a new dastardly plan. He instead uses raptors, who quickly become the arch-enemy of our new heroes: T-Bone, Spike, Stegs, Bullseye, and Hard Rock. If checking out a series about ragtag super mutant team of militant dinos sounds like your thing, you'll be thrilled to hear they put out a whopping 52 episodes that single season on air. Extreme Ghostbusters. The show takes place 10 years after the original Ghostbusters disbanded. While Ray, Peter, and Winston have gradually moved away, Egon stays behind, living in the firehouse, maintaining the ghost containment unit, and taking up work as an instructor at a local community college. Replacing the real Ghostbusters cast as the main characters would be a team of eager ghost hunters, whose more modern arsenal includes upgraded proton packs and a heavier-duty ghost trap. 40 episodes were produced to run in syndication on Bobot's Extreme Block between September and December of '97. In some television listings, the series was actually labeled Ghostbusters Dark, which sounds like an arguably better title for this edgier and action-packed supernatural comedy, meant to serve as a direct sequel to the real Ghostbusters cartoon that ended in '91. Egon, the Ghostbusters' original receptionist, Janine, and of course Slimer are used to bridge the gap between shows and make it more convincing. The gelatinous apparition we all know as Slimer never really had an official name, though the franchise co-creator Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis happily shared that the ugly little spud was meant to be a tribute to their late friend John Belushi. It wasn't until the real Ghostbusters premiered in '86 that the gluttonous green glob would first be called Slimer. It's a nice touch worked into the show that after spending so much time together, he and Egon are now closer than they were in the original series. Under the instruction of the brainy veteran Ghostbuster Egon, the next generation of Extreme Ghostbusters hunt down and capture paranormal baddies in and around gloomy New York City, frequently clashing with authority figures who are all skeptical of the supernatural. It may have only gotten a single season's worth of episodes, but they didn't cut any corners, and the extreme effort shines through on screen. As always, thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe for...
Alrighty, man. That's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Some of these cartoons look like some bullshit. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. A couple of these cartoons look like some bullshit. Come on, man. Extreme Dinosaurs, Sinbad the Sailor, Mummies Alive. Come on, dog. Cartoon Sushi looked like, well, it was on MTV, so go figure. Inspector Gadget Field Trip. I do remember this show. This show was boring as hell. Yeah, like a couple of these shows, besides like Wayne Head, the Street Fighter series didn't seem that bad. I never watched it, but it don't seem that bad. But if y'all telling me that it's bad, then it must be terrible. G.I. Joe Extreme. Come on, bro. Anything with extreme in it, I already know some bullshit. Yeah, outside of Wayne Head and probably Extreme Ghostbusters. I mean, Extreme Ghostbusters look kind of decent. It looked kind of decent, but it still looked like some bullshit at the same time. But yeah, outside of the Wayne Head, yeah, you can keep the rest of these cartoons. Bring back Wayne Head for sure. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see you on the next video. Till then, peace out.